So the core message as we kick off, I really think it's no longer a build or a buy. Now there's an assemble. Go and assemble all these startup solutions. Innovation is now a team sport. You combine Microsoft, you combine enterprises, and you combine these startups, and that's the winning formula for a winning team. So now I'm going to hand it off to Heena. She's our director of AI and data startups. She's going to show you some examples of the startups that we work with every day.
Thanks, Hans. So we have enterprises that want to innovate fast. We have startups that are building the right solution for them. But as Hans mentioned, we at Microsoft saw a lot of gaps between the enterprise and startup collaboration. And that is why we launched the Microsoft for Startups Pegasus program. And the idea behind Pegasus is simple. We scout and find the best startups in the world that are solving the most pressing problems our enterprises are facing today. And as my husband, Hans mentioned, we vet them for enterprise readiness. And this simply means that we do a lot of the homework, so you don't have to. Let's break down what enterprise readiness means. First, we make sure that they're deployed in real enterprise environments. I'm not talking POCs or pilots, real production value being delivered at scale. Next, we look at things like security and compliance. Everything from cloud security to data posture, the certifications they have. The interoperability that Hans mentioned is extremely important because we do not want to give your end users a new tool. We make sure that their solutions that, by the way, are already built on Azure can deploy seamlessly into your existing environments, not adding extra tech debt for you. And we're extremely selective about who we bring into Pegasus. We review thousands, and a small fraction actually make the cut. And those that do get additional support from us. For instance, we help them get onto Azure Marketplace. So that way, the process of procurement and deployment for you is much more simpler. And the AI landscape is constantly evolving. So we're constantly scouting and adding on new startups in the Pegasus portfolio. So that way, at any point, you always have the best of breed options. These are just some of the many enterprises that we've worked with across healthcare, life sciences, retail, financial services, even governments. We've helped each of the enterprises that you see here connect with the top startups to help solve the problems that they were facing and help them innovate faster. And the end result is that each of these companies could try faster, validate value faster, and scale faster within their organizations. Now let's make this real. Hans walked us through the biggest challenge today, which is scaling AI to production. I'll give you 3 examples of Pegasus startups that are helping address this problem. The first and most universal problem right now is ROI. AI executives can talk on and on about their AI strategy. But if you ask them the question, what's your total AI spend right now and what returns are you seeing on it? The room goes silent. Because that's a really hard question. Let's start with cost data. Cost data is fragmented. We have finance teams that see cloud builds but don't have business context. We have engineering teams and AI ML teams that see consumption and usage data, but they don't see business outcomes or KPIs. And that pilot that you're going through with your company right now, where you have 100-something users testing it, that might look cheap now, but the costs could easily scale to millions of dollars when you're talking about scaling it to 10,000 or 100,000 users. PayEye solves that problem. It's a GenAI native FinOps platform that tracks your costs across the board. I'm talking from every token to across every prompt to every API call in your AI stack. It brings all those together and also automatically links it to business outcomes. And then that helps you move from vanity metrics to outcome metrics. One of their customers is a global asset management firm that had a double-digit number of AI initiatives ongoing across different business units. And within 6 weeks of deploying PayEye, their CIO and CFO now had a dashboard where for each of those AI initiatives, they could see clear cost to outcome metrics. And their CIO and CFO could now make decisions about which AI projects and initiatives to scale and which ones should I stop based on hard data, not hype and optimism or vanity metrics. And that is how you scale AI, with discipline. The next big challenge is risks. Especially with Gen AI and now agents, the risk landscape is constantly changing. We've got everything from hallucinations to data leakage to even changing regulatory environments. And with Microsoft Foundry Guardrails, we give you the best-in-class platform for you to customize your own guardrails to filter unwanted content. Dynamo AI is a startup that builds on that foundation and takes that one step further. The best AI teams I know are operationalizing AI like a team sport. Dynamo works with some of the most regulated customers, everyone from Experian to Intel, and these are organizations where no AI project can make it to production until you have sign-offs from risk, compliance, legal, security. And what Dynamo allows you to do is have all of these teams get involved in the AI process. It allows all these users, many are non-technical, to customize their own guardrails in natural language. So for instance, if you're working and building an agent at a bank and it's for customers, you want to make sure that agent doesn't give out investment advice or tax recommendations. Using Dynamo's platforms, you can now add those guardrails yourself and test it without spending additional engineering cycles. One of their customers is a leading insurance company, and their insurance company had their policy team get in and use Dynamo's platform to add in their policies. And the result, within the first month of doing a small rollout, was that their policy teams could see firsthand how more than 150 potentially policy-violating outputs were being blocked by Dynamo's guardrails. And that way, their teams now had the reassurance that this solution could be scaled and rolled out across customers. And that is how you scale AI, making sure you have a layer of operational safety and trust on your AI solutions. The third pain point I hear over and over again: there's too much experimentation and not enough governance. And there's so many AI initiatives running across the company. I continue to hear from CIOs that they do not know confidently that they have awareness and visibility on each and every AI initiative running across the company. And that's where Cranium comes in. They begin with discovery, where they look at things like your network data, even code repositories or usage data, and create a log of all the AI projects in the company. And this includes AI agents that you may not know existed in your company to begin with. When a leading financial services company did this, they learned that there were many third-party models that their AI teams were using that they didn't even approve. And Cranium helped them identify additional vulnerabilities within their AI ML stack. And once they created this visibility, Cranium then adds a layer of governance around it, making sure that they started off with creating this bill of materials, which is a catalog of all the AI ML projects running across the company, tracking for each of them, who's the owner, what data is going in it, what's a risk profile, and so on. This way, they now had both visibility, and then this data was then used to infuse governance and even check for compliance on top of that. And Cranium then just gives AI leaders a layer of security and governance for the enterprise. We are no longer in this era where we're experimenting with AI. Now and through 2026, there's an increased focus on scaling AI to production and proving real value. And these 3 startups tackle some of the biggest problems in scaling AI today. They bring ROI clarity, they bring operational safety and trust, and they also add security and governance as a layer on top of all of this. And these startups, just like every other Pegasus startup, is solving that layer and that problem better than anyone else out there. And that is why leading enterprises are choosing to partner with them. And that is why leading enterprises are choosing to work with Pegasus. So I can go on and on for hours talking about startup stories, but I wanted to hear firsthand from one of our Pegasus founders and hear his side. So I'd like to invite Surajit Chatterjee, the CEO and co-founder of Emma, which is one of our star Pegasus startups in the agentic AI space. So take it over.